as he wrote, this is a book I wrote called Heroes. It's called Tales of Courage, Love and Sacrifice. I do some casual painting. So I did this oil and canvas painting of 4 great heroes. One is, as you can see, Shivaji Maratha. This is Bhagat Singh when he escaped from Lahore. This is Mahakavi Subramani Bharati. And this is Velu Nachiyar. Velu Nachiyar is probably the greatest Indian warrior queen ever. Because Rani of Jhansi ruled for 42 days. She ruled for 12 years. And for 12 years, she was invincible against repeated attacks by the English. All right, so with that introduction, and I'd also like to hand over these 2 or 3 books for you guys. Right, so let's move on from there. So there's an important principle called the Locard's principle of exchange, which means it's a forensic thing. Locard, he said a guy comes and kills a lady and goes back. There will be something from the lady on him, and there'll be something from him on that lady. In other words, when any 2 organisms have any form of interaction, it can be by thought, it can be by word, it can be by touch, there is something passed on. And this is what Swami Vivekananda also wrote. And that is why they say, if you think about noble, fiery things, you will become those. And that's actually the underlying principle of that movie, Rang De Basanti. All right, so I'm going to start by asking you all 3 questions. Who coined the word Jai Hind, the phrase? Does anybody know? It's absolutely correct. I'm sure many of you wouldn't have known about it. There is some controversy that one person called Abul Hasan Saharani, who was fighting under Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, coined it. Shenbagaraman Pillai, as a man in Trivandrum, who coined this word, at 16, 17, he got incensed to the idea of a free India. He was born in 1891. And then he coined this word, and he changed his name to Jai Hind, Shenbagaraman Pillai. He went on from there, I'm talking about 1905, 1908, he went off to Austria and Italy, learnt 12 languages. And I think this is bakwas. People saying, learn only one language, don't learn some language that's being thrust on you. It's a sure way of putting you into a compartment. And we go college after college and say, please learn as many languages as possible. We are one country, Ek Bharat, Shrestha Bharat. He went to Austria and then he learnt 12 languages. And then he organized a huge group called Pro India. We all don't even know about it. We all know the same old story. Gandhi, Nehru, Patel, Rajendra Prasad. He organized a huge group. He is the man who set up his home in Berlin and taught Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose how to get the Indian National Academy going. Such a gutsy guy. He is the man who told Kaiser Wilhelm, Emperor of Austria and Germany, Prussia, it's about India size, old Prussia, Germany, Austria, Czechoslovakia. He said, I'll fight for you. He was an engineer. And he got into a submarine and came down and into a warship and he bombed Chennai because the Emden. Emden, they say, Peri Emden and Chiria. Emden means a big guy. Can you imagine? He was the deputy commander of the ship and he gathered forces to attack English India from Kabul as well as from Malaya. Unfortunately, they lost the war. Again, he didn't stop. From 1920 to 1934, tirelessly he worked for a free India. Great man, Shenbagaraman Pillai. Anybody who saw him would immediately get infected. Subhash Chandra Bose wrote, I got infected when I saw him. And then what he did, unfortunately how he died in 1934, Hitler had this huge group. You know how Hitler is. You get up and talk, he'll kill you. He said the Indians are an inferior race and they're fighting the English. We don't know. Let's see how they do. They're an inferior group. Big crowd there. This man got up. Shenbagaraman Pillai said, you don't dare call us inferior. I can speak 12 languages. Can you speak? I can gather forces from everywhere. Can you do? And then everybody rushed and said, hey, Hitler, Hitler. But Hitler said, wait. And he publicly apologized to him. And then he said, come and see me day after tomorrow. Or to the next day or the day after that. But unfortunately, the Gestapo poisoned him and killed him the next day. As he lay dying, he wanted only one thing. He said, I want my body and my ashes to go to free India. He told his wife, he was born in 1891, he died in 1934, 43. When India gets free, you put my ashes in free India. So in 1966, and his wife, the Germans didn't allow them to take the ashes, body. She fought from 1934 to 1966. And in 1966, she brought his ashes and put it in a river called Karamana. And we don't know about that. We know only about Hulk, or we know about some Superman, or we know about, all the Minnal Murli or something like that. We don't know about the guys who matter. Right, next question. You shouldn't answer that. You're out. You've answered one. Who coined the term Inqilab Zindabad? Okay, I'll ask you also. It's a tough one. It's a very interesting man. Huh? No. Close. The man who popularized Inqilab Zindabad to the whole world is my favorite hero. It's Bhagat Singh. He's like a rock star. And I'll tell you a very interesting thing. When I released the book, we got 5, he was there, we got 5 or 6 of these great freedom fighters, the last surviving person to come. For me, this is, you can see it on the YouTube, it's there. It's got plenty of views. We got Bhagat Singh when they hanged him. What a great man. His body was given to his sisters. Youngest son is still alive. I actually tracked him through the CBI and the IB and we got him. They found out exactly where he was and we got him from a village near Ludhiana. Got a great man. He said, you send the book, I'll read the book. If the book is good, I'll come. I've got Bhagat Singh's blood in me. Wow. I won't simply come. 78 years old man. He came and rocked it that day. And he came in, and when he came in, he said, I want to see only one thing. I want to see Shenbagaraman Pillai statue. And I'm very sorry and ashamed to say this to you guys. Until that day, I didn't know where it was. I didn't know much about Shenbagaraman Pillai. It needed somebody from Ludhiana, one great hero's great-grandson, to come and say, Shenbagaraman Pillai, Jai Hind Shenbagaraman Pillai. He said the Nazis killed him. I want to see his statue. I want to place flowers. These people, you just talk to them. You move with them. Your life changes. We won't go for kuti things. So, Inqilab Zindabad was actually coined, made popular to the world by 2 people, Bhagat Singh and Batukeshwar Dutt, when they threw the bomb in the parliament. You park that for a minute. But actually, it came from a great guy called Hazrat Mohani. He's from a place called Mahan in Punjab, United Provinces. Hazrat Mohani. And Hazrat Mohani was a great guy. His name is also actually Syed Fazal Hassan. He wrote this Inqilab Zindabad and Mahatma Gandhi and he had a bash. Because Mahatma Gandhi wanted only non-violence. Then why you want to talk about Inqilab, which is revolution? Inqilab Zindabad means long live the revolution. So famous conversation between Mahatma Gandhi and Hazrat Mohani. He said, what's the meaning of Inqilab Zindabad? He asked him. He said, I want the revolution to live as long as there is injustice in the world. Beautiful, no? Hazrat Mohani. So Mahatma Gandhi made a famous statement, which history books, whatever Mahatma Gandhi says is wonderful. They just blindly follow. That's very far away from the truth. The more you read, you understand. That's a very Nehruized version that we all read as kids. That's not the truth. He told him, it seems, be careful. He said, पानी में कदम रखने से पहले, before you walk in the water, गहराई नाप ले. He said, check how deep it is. Depth of the water, be careful, don't do that. So Mahatma Gandhi was actually against him. I have a lot of issues against Mahatma Gandhi, which we can talk privately. For example, he could have prevented Bhagat Singh's execution. Because he had to sign a Gandhi-Irwin pact with Irwin. He could have just signed it and said, I'll sign it if you let Bhagat Singh go. But he didn't. And beauty is, I'll talk a little bit later about Bhagat Singh. So that's Inqilab Zindabad, Hazrat Mohani, and you remember Gandhi. Because these are all principle to us and we don't even know that. But we know some code agent in Vikram movie, some chick, some old lady. I'm seeing some 1 million views on that lady. Is she really a secret agent? Tina, correct, Agent Tina. I'm saying, why should I go to colleges and say, why do you want to learn about Agent Tina? These guys died at bloody 22 and 23, shouting Inqilab so that we could walk free. Otherwise, we'll be still mad mechi. And then instead of thanking them, we want to thank Agent Tina. You know what I mean? All fictitious people. So that is 2. 3. How many of you know the story of Bande Madaram? You all know Vande Madaram, right? You don't know the song Vande Madaram? Very interesting story. It was written by a very great scholar, an IAS, those days ICS officer, poet, playwright called Bankim Chandra Chatterjee or Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyaya. This man, even when he was 16 or 17, he was a topper. And these are all little stories. Some of these stories are written in my book. He was a topper and so he became a sub-collector. Those days sub-collectors were carried in a palanquin. This is 1890, you know that time. So a lot of four chaps are carrying him in a palanquin, walking through a field. White men were playing cricket there. One Colonel Duffin was playing cricket along with the local Maharaja of a place called Lalgola. It's all in West Bengal. Because this palanquin came, his eyesight got interrupted in his batting. And I think he missed and he got bowled or something, that colonel. He walked straight to the palanquin, asked his fellows to drop it, pulled out the sub-collector and hammered him. Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. This is how they treated us. And we are going after Hulk. Alright, so he couldn't do anything. That Raja, one princely state Raja, Lalgola was there. I mean, these are the guys, if you read about them, your life will get changed. So he was watching this. He told him, you sue him. Because he was anyway a sub-collector or sub-magistrate. He sued him. Can you imagine in 1890s, one Indian guy, the only Indian guy case in the north and south, Vavu Chidambaram Pillai, Nambale, my relative. So I've written about him as well. And his grandson also came. They are in penury, and after that program, many people wanted to give money to Vavu Pillai's family. They said, Vavu Pillai's family may be poor, but we are proud. We don't want the money, thank you. They're poor, but we have our pride. We don't want that money. Ask that money to go to some of the poor. Class people are. So, Bankim Chandra Chatterjee sued this man. And he argued his case. And there's so many witnesses because publicly he hammered him. First time, a white man, Colonel Duffin, he was punished by the government. You know what the punishment was? A public apology. He just had to say, I'm sorry I hit you. And for that he took weeks and weeks. No, he kept on appealing. Why should I say sorry to a black man? Huh? He went on. If you read these stories, you become a nationalist. You don't think, that bullshit. Hindi speaker is Pani Puri. Bhagat Singh, what he fought for us, he fought for himself. Arey, kya baat hai? So, this guy, he sued and he beat him. Finally, he was forced to apologize. So finally, after 6 weeks of delay, he came to the, I'm sorry I hit you. The whole audience, they erupted at him. Our guys, we are like that fellow whose wife got, molested by a dacoit. And the dacoit draws a line and says, if you put one toe outside this also, I'll kill you. And he molests the woman. And after the guy is gone, this fellow is laughing. Why? He says, no, when he was molesting you 5 times, I put my foot outside the circle. We are like that. We'll get hammered. And then when he said sorry, everybody is clapping and very, very happy, like winning a cricket match. That guy, clean white man, Colonel Duffin, he got his people and said, let's kill him in the night. The Raja of Lalgola, because he was his drinking buddy, he knew about that and told Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, he's planning to kill you. You please go and hide in one of my estates in Lalgola. And in Lalgola, there was a big Kali temple. And the Kali had lots of skulls around her. And when he saw it, Bankim Chandra Chatterjee thought, she's such a powerful woman. But unfortunately, today India is like a graveyard with our pride, all gone to poverty, all only skulls. And then he wrote Vande Mataram. So it was in Lalgola, hiding from this white man for a month. When they used influence, that white man was gently moved out somewhere and he came back inside. So he wrote, when Vande Mataram, he's praying to and saying, you're like this, but we are struggling. There are 3 stanzas. We only know the first one. We know only the Sukadam, Madaram, that part. But there are 1 or 2 anguished verses which are left out. And when we sing these songs, when we say Jai Hind to some IPS officer or to the governor, or when we say Inqilab Zindabad, we should be aware of the feelings, of the emotions that go behind that. Okay, so so at least these 3 terms everybody knows now. You're all familiar with. So I have another, I promised him I'll finish in exactly 20 minutes. So I have another 12 or 13 minutes and I can speak on any of these heroes. I deliberately thought I'll just come and speak to you off the cuff. So if you all want Bhagat Singh, I can do Bhagat Singh. If you want to do Surya Sen, I can do Surya Sen. If you want to do from the south, you want people from the south, I can do. South, north, west, Chhatrapati Shivaji, I can do. So
talk of Nehru and Jinnah. I want to know more of them.
I would rather not talk on those. Why? They are both I have studied extensively. I'm sorry to say this because this is my personal opinion. They are both not on my heroes list at all. I'm so sorry to say that. You come this side, yaar. You come this side, you're correct. See, Hazrat Mohani, who wrote this thing, who wrote this who wrote Inqilab Zindabad. He was so much anti-Jinnah, he refused to participate in any meeting where Jinnah was, and he was against partition, and he stayed back in India and he died in India. That is Hazrat Mohan. He was against any form of extremism. And I think we all need to be true nationalists, say we are one country. That's why I'm a complete fan of Modi when he says Ek Bharat Shrestha Bharat, and we need to come out and say, somebody who's saying I'm one close thing, all of you are outside, you must say no, you're wrong, we are one country. None of these guys, Shenbagaraman Pillai traveled to 16 countries. You think he was born in Trivandrum? You think he was thinking only about Trivandrum? He was speaking 12 languages. German, Italian, French. They're nationalists, they're internationalists. We don't have the heart to be internationalists, at least let us be nationalists. Any guy who's good, who's in the country, he's our man. That's how we should feel. Everything else aside. And I think if we embrace the whole world that way, it will be wonderful. If you all have time, you must read a small book written by Bhagat Singh. And in that book, there's an added letter by Bhagat Singh. His final letter to his cellmates and to the members of HSRA, the Hindustan Socialist Republic Association, before he died. And if you read it, you think, my gosh, what a guy. In that he says, the whole world is expecting me to die tomorrow. And I have to do that because only, I'm sure you guys must have read it. Gaya abhi tak, Layalpur, but it's in Pakistan now. He was born in a place called Banga, small village called Banga in Layalpur. He said, I want, and this is true, I'm going to talk to you about two more things also, about traitors in these people's lives. I want every woman, I'll tell you what, in the next 12-15 minutes, I'll tell you one Paka story about treachery. I've written about this. So one of Bhagat Singh's good friends was a guy called Hans Raj Vora. Okay? Hans Raj Vora and Bhagat Singh together participated in the Saunders killing. You all know about the Saunders killing? So basically it was a great Punjabi leader called Lala Lajpat Rai. Great man. In the east, we had another deadly guy called Bipin Chandra Pal. I mean, each of them, there are so many good stories about them. Bipin Chandra Pal, amazing man. In Maharashtra, we had Balagangadhar Tilak. Imagine, they never thought of their own states. In Maharashtra, Balagangadhar Tilak, that man is in the east, in Calcutta, and in Punjab, Lala, and everything. These three people used to write to each other. No phones, nothing those days. And that is why Gandhiji once commented a bit sourly, the Lal Bal Pal is the center of our independence movement. They call the Lal Bal Pal Trimurtis. Lala Lajpat Rai, and I've gone through all their lives. Absolutely spotless, man. Everything for the country. So Lala Lajpat Rai was protesting the so-called Simon Commission. Simon came to see and say, if some place is not correct, we will take over. We'll take over. We'll take over. Simon Commission. And Lala Lajpat Rai in Lahore was part of the Greater Punjab, United Provinces. He came and said, go back, Simon. They beat this poor old man and killed him. 1928. And Bhagat Singh and Chandrasekhar Azad and group said, maar dalenge hum. So they got ready to attack and kill the person who killed Lala Lajpat Rai. His name was Captain Scott. But for us, like excuse my language, but all Chinese look the same, and all white men look the same. Instead of killing Scott, they killed Saunders. That fellow superintendent, this fellow assistant superintendent, both white fellows on a motorbike. Whoever came near, they killed him. Along with them was Hans Raj Vora. Now you keep this in mind. Then police said search. Somewhere over here are those chaps. And that is when Bhagat Singh cut his hair and wore this hat and made it like a white man, and then went out all the way from Lahore. He escaped and came to Allahabad. And with whom did he go? Because he never married. When his father asked him to get married, he ran away from Layalpur. And you must read that letter which he wrote to his parents. I'm sorry, but I have only one bride, and she is death. And I want only that will free my motherland. And if you study why he did that, in his hall of his house, all of us like to keep somebody big guy's painting, this, that. You know what they had in the hall? They had an hourglass with sand with blood in it. And that was the blood from Jallianwala Bagh, 1919. Bhagat Singh grew up with that. And he knew every second, these guys are oppressing us. And that's why a hero was created. So you read that last letter, he says, as I go, I want my soul to know that every woman in India wants to bear a son like me. Every woman must feel, I want a Bhagat Singh. Now look at Hansraj Vora's last letter. Now what happened to Hansraj Vora? So we'll come back to the story. Bhagat Singh escaped, went to Allahabad, and then afterwards met up with Chandrasekhar Azad, who was based in Allahabad. Then they planned the parliamentary bombing. Beautiful, you must see the parliamentary bombing they planned. They made sure that nobody will be killed. Not like these fellows putting in the market nowadays so that maximum people are killed. They bombed that part of the parliament that had nobody sitting in it. They made sure nobody was in that area, and then they threw their bombs. They didn't hurt anybody else. And they just raised up their hands and they said, Inqilab Zindabad. That's what they said. You know, two people, Batukeshwar Dutt and Bhagat Singh. This happened in 1929. So the people are still searching for the chaps who killed that Saunders. They escaped and went. And then when they were arrested and brought in, unfortunately this Hansraj Vora, a traitor, he told them that Bhagat Singh was, or they were only about to get some 6 months or something for that bombing. He said they were also involved in the murder of Saunders. You know why he did it? Just for little extra money. The same reason why people, you know, Mir Jafar did for Siraj ud-Dawla, Yattayappan did for Veerapandi Kattabomman. There's always one chap, no, to stick in the back. You know, he made a deal with the English. I'll tell you this is interesting because he died only in the late 80s. Hansraj Vora. He said, I want to be a journalist. Send me to London School of Economics to study and then send me to the US. I will give you all the details about Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev and Rajguru. Just money. Okay, now just see the course of their lives. He gave all the details. And instead of getting him for parliament, they got him for the murder of a white assistant superintendent of police, which is too much. And they sentenced him to death. So Hansraj Vora escaped. And he went to London School of Economics. Came back briefly to Punjab. Was hated so much he ran away back to Washington. And he was the correspondent for the Times of India until 1980 or 79 or something. And then he retired and died in 86. And in 85, 86, he wrote a letter to the great-grandchildren of Bhagat Singh and Rajguru and these people. And you must read that letter and you must read Bhagat Singh's letter. I couldn't sleep that night. See both the letters. Heroes, villains. He wrote, my last wish on earth is that I am forgotten by everybody. One fellow has lived and he's saying, I hope nobody remembers me. I want to be forgotten. One guy. Other guy is writing, I want to die in such a way. Every woman in India must bear a Bhagat Singh. One guy lives until 1986. He lived till bloody 70 years or 80 years. One guy lives and dies at the age of 23. One guy dies penniless, one guy dies in his house in Washington. You tell me who is a rich man. You tell me who is the hero. It's obvious, isn't it? That's what I learned when I kept Bhagat Singh's letter and Hansraj Vora's letter side by side. So I thought, you read stuff like that. It's like a fever, gets into you. It's like an infection, it's a good infection. And you think after that, how can you think about some policeman getting 100 rupees for not wearing a helmet? We're walking on the same soil that these guys gave their lives for. You tell me that. And I think that, I believe that whether other people, we've been lucky that I think we've several thousand copies have sold in the last 2 months in Amazon. We bargained and got the lowest price possible. Amazon, they have these $1.99, you know, how to tie a tie, that kind of stuff. We got it for that. And I said, I want maximum people to read it. And several thousand have been downloading it, and the book here also in print is going in large numbers. But I think rather than other people learning from the book, I have learned so much in the process of reading about the lives of these people. And I think whatever we do is so tiny in comparison to what they've done. Another thing that Bhagat Singh did is in jail, is waiting to die, and he conducted a fast until death there itself. And according to the English constitution and the laws, a fast until death, it becomes like a custody death sort of thing. They held his nose so that he couldn't breathe, shoved tubes inside and fed him milk, etc. to keep him alive. He said, until you improve the conditions of the jail for the other people here, I'll fast until death. So finally, they said, okay, relented and improved the jail sanitary conditions. He saw rats running around and all that is written. They improved the sanitary conditions, they improved the food, they improved everything there in Lahore jail. Of course, They hanged him. It's a different matter. And Mahatma Gandhi, his death in my mind will go on Mahatma Gandhi. I know many people, Gandhi. He could have easily gotten about. The whole country was fighting for Bhagat Singh. And Mahatma Gandhi has gotten out many other people before by signing. But somehow he didn't sign for Bhagat Singh just because. Huh? I think he felt that violence was not an answer. He was so mad about non-violence and ahimsa. He said anything that does himsa, any form of violence, I cannot condone. If he's a murderer, he's murdered a man in cold blood. If I allow one murderer to go, you can allow all murderers to go. But there's a big difference between a man who does something for a cause and somebody who does murders somebody because of some monetary gains or something. But Mahatma Gandhi said no. That's what I think it was in Bhagat Singh matter that he wrote a letter saying the end does not justify the means. So Shanmugaraman Pillai, Bhagat Singh, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, all of them said, we'll wage war, we'll attack. When you attack, some people will die. How can you win a jung without killing a few people? We will attack, we will somehow. He said no. That's why he had nothing to do with Shanmugaraman Pillai, he had nothing to do with Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, he had nothing to do with Bhagat Singh. It's very sad, but that is the truth. So he said nothing to do with himself. The end does not justify the means. These people said it justifies the means. If you have to kill a few people, never mind. We will free 300 million people. It's because of this. And I feel very ashamed to say this. 100,000 white men were ruling 300 million of us. So I think we have to get up and say, okay, we need to inculcate this spirit in all of us. Instead of that, we had a history. If you are free, YouTube, I've spoken for some 14-15 minutes at the time of the book release. The history that we read was rubbish history, written by post-Nehruvian historians. Out of 250 pages, 120 pages on the Mughals. Mughals who ruled only for 300 years. 1526 was the Battle of Panipat. 1857, it is all over. Hey, Akbar the Great, Jahangir the kind, somebody the weak. Who wants to know all this, man? Rubbish. Uske baad 200 years English ruled. That will be another 150 pages. You look at Rajaraja Cholan, Cholas, they ruled for 1200 years. One para. Who makes the rules? Who makes the rules? One para you give for 1200. Harsha, Ashoka, Maurya Empire. So long they ruled. How long they'll give us? 3 pages, Ashoka. Ahom dynasty ruled for 600 years in the northeast. And they beat the Mughals every time in the northeast. There was also a dynasty called Ahom dynasty, 2 lines. Just because a bunch of, you asked about Nehru? I'm sorry to say this, I know they're recording it. It's Nehru and Nehru's historians who filled us with shame. That's why we wanted to go to England. And we wanted to wear nice bow ties. And we wanted to use chopsticks and forks and knives. And we wanted to be like the Babus. If I had read all this stuff in my teenage, 100%, I would not have gone to England. My English might not have been so perfect. I would have left some ands and buts. Chodo. Never mind. I would not have gone there. I would have stayed, I would have fought for my country. But I thought there's no country to fight for. What? Mughals ruled for 300 years, English ruled for 200 years, nothing happened. There's so much that happened. There are so many heroes. And what's missing now? We miss pride. We miss pride. When I started reading these, I thought, oh shit, but these guys have lived like this. How can we go and give some guy some breve, do this? I think, shit, what did Bhagat Singh have done? What would Chandrasekhar Azad have done? Azad, who said, Azad was 15 years old when he attacked the English. 15 years old, brought before a judge. Young boy. They asked him, what's your name? Azad, freedom. His actual name was something else. What's your father's name? Swatantra, independence. What's your address? Jail. Majesty said, whip the fellow. He whipped him. And then, every place when he spoke, he said, nobody will take Chandrasekhar. Azad will live with Azad. And he shot himself. And when he got stuck in that Allahabad Park, there also one fellow, that Veeranath Chowdhury or somebody who was supposed to meet him, he informed the police, just like Hansraj Vora. There is something about our soil. For every good guy, there will be one bad guy waiting to stick his knife inside. But I guess it's only the villain that makes a hero, you know. And this man, his last words was telling him, you go. Police are all around, you go, continue the movement. I'll manage. To the guy who fingered him. That's the great Chandrasekhar Azad. And when he fought to them, he had the last bullet. He kept the last bullet aside. And as you rightly said, he shot himself. And so nobody will take, Azad will be Azad till his last. That's the kind of leaders that we had. But I did not read about Chandrasekhar Azad at all. Maybe one line. Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar, all these people were martyrs to Indian freedom. Arey, uske baad, what can you understand, yaar? Unless you learn about this. For me, this is more important than how many jewels were put in somebody's peacock throne. It doesn't make sense. So I think history will make, if you read the stories of Hitler, Mussolini, or Churchill, Obama, any of them, or Modi ji, history. You need to go back to history, the right history, and be inflamed by that history. And what happens is it changes you. The Locard's principle of exchange, in some way, you also start taking the right, may not be commercially best decision, but you'll sleep well. It gives you noble decision. You think, okay, I'm a man. I'm from Hindustan. I'm from Hindustan is here, but that's a good advertisement for you. TV mein bhi aayega. No, but I'm saying, this is my conclusion that geography, science, economy, commerce, because I read like a maniac. Every morning I read Blinkist, multiple books every day, etc. The shortened ones. Nothing gives you pride, nothing gives you honor, nothing gives you identity. In Tamil they'll say Valvadaram. Identity, history. And the right history gives you identity. So I'll stop with that, but I'll take any questions if you'll have, because my 20 minutes is up.